the 16th of October 2011, Kenya invaded southern Somalia. The main goal here was to occupy Kismayo. At that specific time, Somalia was going through a severe local famine as well as a regional drought. Now, Al-Shabaab responded with guns as well as bombs and grenades immediately after our troops invaded Somalia. But here are a few reasons that you may be asking, why did we go into Somalia in the first place? Well, number one, the refugee crisis within Kenya, within our Kenyan borders to be specific, was one of the reasons we went into Somalia. And again, remember at this time, Somalia was going through a famine and a drought. Number two, the threat that we posed to Kenya's economy, especially within our coastal regions. Within that time, 2 foreigners were abducted in Mombasa. And number three, the regional anxiety that we were feeling from both Ethiopia and Uganda itself, which leads AMISOM within the African continent. Those are just some of the reasons why our KDF troops went into Somalia. But now, after the attacks that we've seen, especially this week with the Dusit D2 attack, a lot of questions are in Kenyans' mind. Should our troops come back home? Is it time that we brought them back home? And of course, here in studio, I have with me Abdawahab Sheikh Abdi, who will help us understand this and even get more into better context of this specific reason. Sheikh, I'm so grateful that you're here with us this morning and taking time.
Happy to be here.
All right, so I've just given an overview for our viewers at that time. And it's also important to note that even in terms of international diplomacy, the U.S. and Western allies were not in the first place for Kenya going into Somalia. So allow me to begin with this question. Is it time we brought our troops back home?
Good. In fact, Kenya crossed over into Somalia 16th of October 2011. 3 days later, I was at the same studio here discussing the repercussions. What will be repercussions?
Right.
I advised the Kenyan government for four items. I told them first, seek what you call an approval from the parliament, because that's one issue. Secondly, make public awarenesses so that public can support what they call the war itself. Thirdly, do what we have to do some different what the Ugandans and the Burundians and the Djiboutians are doing inside Somalia. If you go inside Somalia, open what you call the schoolists, the hospitalists, what you call and everything, so that just let gain the hearts and the minds of the people. The fourth issue is, when you are going into the war is a very costly business.
Right.
It's not, you are not distributing our horses. You are distributing bullets. So the clans along the border, Kenya must gain the hearts and the minds of the clans along the border, so that the clans, they can collaborate with Kenyan army forces. Let the people understand the Kenyan forces, they are no longer what they call occupation forces, rather than protection forces.
Okay.
So that is missing up to now. The other issue is, the question you asked me, the some allies, again, it's true. For instance, in the United States of America, US, they invaded Somalia in 1993. You know it very well. The Rangers are there. It was a disastrous. Until the Clinton administration, they forced to withdraw the army from Somalia.
Right.
Ethiopia, they invaded Somalia 2006. They even, liberated what they call the Mogadishu and surrounding areas. And they installed the transitional government of Somalia in Mogadishu. After that, what happened? Shabaab, they came back and they again recaptured what they call the Mogadishu, the capital city of Somalia. Kenya is not Ethiopia. And if you compare the strength of military strength, you cannot compare Kenyan army force to American forces. You cannot compare Kenyan army force to Ethiopian forces. If Ethiopians and the Americans withdraw from Somalia because of the defeat they have gone in,
why did we go
Why will you go there?
Right.
Secondly, the other issue is, America, they invaded Iraq. What was the result? It was disastrous. America, they invaded Afghanistan. Now they are saying we are going to withdraw the armies from Afghanistan. Recently, they invaded what you call in Syria. What will happen? They are saying now 2,500 troops inside Syria. We have to withdraw.
So you are not for Kenya going into Somalia.
Let me finish. You cannot compare the strength, American army forces to our armed forces. That's what I'm saying. What what we are pursuing, what they call, it's not a conventional army.
Right.
It's what they call ideological, army. This, unless you defeat ideologically, you cannot, defeat what they call conventionally. Mm-hmm. What we are facing for is an unseen armies. Are we together? What was the repercussions after we go into Somalia? Now, in revenge of that, Al-Shabaab, they radicalize our youth. As we speak right now, Al-Shabaab is no longer business of Somali business. It's no longer Somali business. It's everybody there now. Everybody is there now. They radicalize our youth. So when we are invading Somalia, we have to see our interest. What's our interest? Are we waging a proxy forces inside Somalia? What was the intention? Are we training our army forces so that they can have what they call an experience of the war? What kind of things now we are there? Anyway, right now, abrupt, withdrawal from Somalia, it will be more disastrous.
If we withdraw from
right now, yeah, it's more disastrous.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm saying is, what's the mandate of AMISOM? Mm-hmm. Train the Somali soldiers, mm-hmm. help the Somali federal government, build the institutions, local institutions, so that by 2020, Somali, they can easily take over the security of the nation. Independently, yes. So initially, when we invaded into Somalia, 16th of October 2011, mm-hmm. the reason why, because what the government says, the Al-Shabaab, they kidnap what they call the aid workers, they're disturbing the tourists, which is a backbone of economy of this country, mm-hmm. and a lot of things. But Al-Shabaab, all along, they're denying that. They're saying this independent criminal activity is going on. Are we together? Independent criminal activity going on. Right now, what they succeeded is they have taken our own youth along the marginal societies, both the Somali societies and coastal societies, which have some underlying grievances toward the authority. So they capitalize on that. Now they are what they did. Now they're training our youth inside Boni Forest. Now those guys now are, making now havoc in Nairobi are our own boys, not the boys who came from Somalia. These are our own boys. Mm-hmm. The issue is why now they are, attacking upscale hotels in Mogadishu, in Nairobi, for 4 reasons. Okay. Reason number 1. They want to show the American airstrike does not defeat Al-Shabaab inside Somalia. We are here. Despite the air power, despite the multi forces inside Somalia, still we can make a havoc in our neighboring states. That's one mistake. Second message is they're going to harm the Kenyan economy.
Right.
So that the investors cannot go there and invest inside Kenya. Mm-hmm. The third issue is they want to make an awareness. You are in Somalia, we are in Kenya. The fourth issue is they hope for a brutal crackdown of Somali communities so that they can get what they call a recruit.
Okay.
The signal they're sending to the Kenyans. Kindly go and sleep, brutalize these people so that we can. This is a message now they're sending what they call the Kenyan public.
And so far from our conversation, you've said a lot, but the one thing that has really stood out is that right now it would be bad for us to leave Somalia. Right now it's too late.
It is too late and too little. But what I'm saying is, according to African mission, African, peacekeeping mission in Somalia, yes. They have to withdraw by next year. Yes. Are we together? Because the European Union now, there's a fatigue in Somali issues because they are not ready to finance anymore the African peacekeeping force. But still we have an exit strategy. Still we have.
What if 2020 comes and our local government, our Kenyan government says no, or AMISOM decides if we want to extend 5 years? Can Kenya sustain this war?
I don't think so. What we need the exit strategy. Exit strategy is, we have to engage holistically, not a regional member states. Mm-hmm. That fashion no longer exists. The other thing I'm going to enlighten your mind is, which is very crucial, The issue of the global threat and war is over. It's outdated now. It's not fashion anymore.
The war, the global...
The global terror and war.
Right.
It's no longer now. It's out for what is going to. Somalia became a battleground for the what they call superpowers.
Right.
The issue now is economic and political issues. Are we together? If you look at today, the new stakeholders of Somalia, conflict today, you see, Saudis and Emirates, and Americans and the British on one side, Qatar, Turkish, and on the other side. We're getting new stakeholders because anyone who controls the Red Sea and Indian Ocean will be,
economically
powerful. Yes,
exactly.
Yes. So what is our interest? We have to ask as a Kenyans, what's our interest? Are we going to proxy war, somebody's war? What's our interest at the end of the day?
Right.
So what I'm saying is, Kenyans, they invested Somalia a lot. They hosted the largest refugee population on earth, with 600,000 in the refugee camp. You know it very well. Europeans, they complaining and shouting 1 million refugees from Syria. How many are there? It's almost 40-something countries. How do you see a third world country who was hosting 600,000 refugees?
Right, right.
So we invest in Somalia a lot. Rather than we have to change our approach in Somalia. No, we have to adapt what we call accommodation. We accommodate Somali communities. Somali, they make Kenya a second home. We're hosting the refugees. Why can't we talk about the economic integration? With Somali, they're ready for that. Rather than, pursue what you call, unfinished business, the whole, wasting our time, our resources. Why can't we talk about economic integration? Why can't we engage Somali government holistically, rather than what they call fragmentally? You're engaging with southwest of Somalia, you're engaging what they call the Jubaland, Puntland, Somaliland. All this is rubbish.
Sheikh, I have to ask you a question. Why is it that Al-Shabaab, because then again, if you look at the Somali community, they are very warm, friendly people. The government really is really adamant about getting the economy up and running, making sure Somali is a vibrant nation, economically, culturally speaking, and in every other way. What is the point of Al-Shabaab's existence? Why are they here? Why are they doing this? Do they also not feel that sort of African patriotism where they would rather say, you know what, we are done. Let's now focus on building Somalia. Let's now focus on continuing to build the African continent at large.
Let me tell you one thing. Two things is very important. We have to address the underlying grievances of the marginalized societies, specifically for Somalis and what they call the coastal people. For instance, Somalis, the inhabitants of the Horn of Africa, Somalia, they're no longer what they call an alien society. It's the part and parcel of Kenyan society. Somalia occupied almost 48% total land mass of Kenya. 53% total land mass of Kenya, former northern frontier state of Kenya. Again, we have to initiate what they call a development agenda, whereby we are going to empower our youth, establish the schools, vocational training schools. Let the youth feel they are part and parcel of Kenyan society, so that they don't have a time to join radical group. Because when the child finishes the secondary school or maybe the primary school, and he's not getting what they call the opportunity to go and to do job opportunity, what else is open for him, just rather than joining the radical group?
And that's where they capture our youth.
They're capitalizing what they call the weakness of the society, the loopholes of the society. Go to coastal people. They're complaining about the land issue. Why don't we address the land issue? That's what happened. So all in all, what I'm saying is, Somali community and Somali government, they are so friendly with Kenyan government. Now the Somali society and Kenyan society, now they intermingle. Now they are the one, you cannot even separate from them. So the issue is, let us come up a comprehensive program, comprehensive framework, whereby we have to change our tactics.
Okay.
We have to change what they call our approach. We have to restructure our foreign policy towards Somalia. We have to restructure our foreign towards Horn of Africa so that we can come up something new. Why Somalia became part of what they call the East African community? Join them, so that at least people they can do business together. They can what they call this economic integration between Somalia and Kenya as well. So we have to just cooperate completely.
One question, then the other would. One question that also comes out from this conversation is, how do we begin to economically strain Al-Shabaab? And the reason why I ask this, even for the sake of our audience, there was a report that was done in 2011, a UN report that was done in 2011, which goes on to show that Al-Shabaab continues to benefit from charcoal production. How much more? In 2011, right when you were going into Somalia, they made $25 million in profit revenue from charcoal selling. So how do we begin to destabilize them economically? Because what came out from this is that has Kenya's invasion empowered them more economically than rather diminishing their resources?
Let me tell you one thing. And before I answer the question, let me tell you where Al-Shabaab getting the money. Where Al-Shabaab they get the economy.
Where?
Let me invite you. You know Al-Shabaab, if you go today in Mogadishu and you're a journalist, you're earning a salary, they'll send you a telephone. Yes, indeed. I know you're earning a $600 per month. We want a poll tax. We have to tax what you call your salary. How much I'm going to pay? You have to pay, let's say, $100 a month. So where can I take the money? Where can I deposit? Don't worry. Then at the end of the month, the driver came to you, your own driver came to you. Is there anyone who ask you for $100? Please donate. Have you seen? So they go and collect taxes and also and zakat, what's called zakat, from all the maybe the major 5-star hotels, all the public civil servants. All also they are taking what they call a poll tax from individual work with NGOs. So that's how they get what they call the tax. And again, in Mogadishu today, or elsewhere in Somalia, in southern Somalia, including the Jubaland, for instance, if you have a conflict with someone, maybe you have conflict what they call in house, he'll never go and seek justice from the government. He'll go to Al-Shabaab. Okay. He say, okay, fine, Zindi, come that place. We are not harming you anymore, but bring your papers. And bring your paper, and bring also your papers. Who belong to this house? If they have an instant justice, on the spot justice. So that has gained a lot of people, to seek justice, Al-Shabaab rather. And
to entrust them more than the government.
More than government. Again, now they train our boys. They train our boys. They have, as we speak right now, our boys are somewhere in Boni Forest. Right or wrong? Yes, they are. They
training.
Know. Yeah, training, yes. So what happened tomorrow morning? They will call me, Abdi, I know your salary. It's $6,000. Please bring 1,000. Put that account. The same thing they will apply here very soon. If you don't contain them, if they don't what you call, how can we defeat those issues? Because of the time, I don't, 2 minutes of time. Look, we have to engage the ulamas, the Islamic scholars. Unless we defeat Al-Shabaab ideologically, it's difficult, to defeat militarily.
And economically.
Okay. How can we defeat them? Very simple issue. If our government taking this advice from me, I will have before that. First, engage the ulamas, Islamic scholars. We must have a counter ideology, whereby we are going to preach them, this is not the right teaching of Islam. Right. This is the right teaching of Islam.
Right.
That's one issue. Secondly, empower the youth. Empower the youth. Just to create for them opportunity for job. Thirdly, address the underlying grievances of the Nigerian society. Let them society feel they are not longer second-class citizens, but they are full citizens. Fourth, there should be a coordination and what we call cooperation among the security forces, our security forces. Sixth, we have to uplift capacity of our army forces. Train them so that they are facing what they call unseen armies. We have to empower our intelligence gathering officers, so that they can easily gather information on those guys. Number 8, we have to engage the teachers, both primary school, in secondary school, in university lecturers, so that let them do the seminars about the radicalizations. It's not good for the, so that at least we can defeat, ideologically rather than militarily. So only military alone cannot defeat these people. Because if you look at this issue is a global issue.
It's beyond military.
It's a global, yes, it's beyond military. Those guys who came from Central, the 2 guys who came from the area and the Kiambu,
yes.
They don't know anything about it. Now they say when they just, kill more than 21 people. They are saying now we are going to send a signal to, Trump administration so that they support what they call Israel, making the capital city, undivided capital city of Israel, of Jerusalem became undivided city of, undivided city of what they call.
Sheikh, help me understand that.
Yes.
That international link, why Al-Shabaab is doing this to teach U.S. and the Trump administration that their support for Israel. Help us understand that whole intertwine of international politics.
They are saying 2 things.
Okay.
First, they want agenda of the Islamization of the entire world. They say Islam has no border. Islam has no nationality. This is the ideology they're preaching. They're teaching this, what they call the young youth. Islam has no border. Are we together? They have to Islamize the entire African continent, the entire world. Secondly, Islam has no nationality. Whether you're Somali or Kikuyu or Akamba, they don't care. As long as you're Muslim, you have to, you have to go the agenda for Muslims. Forget about the other nationalities. Your nationality is Islam, nothing else. This kind of ideology they are teaching. They are just brainwashing our young generation. But what I'm saying is, unless we come up those, things I have mentioned to you, and we can easily overcome our own problems. They're trying to divide us. Let us unite against the common enemy. Forget about what you call Al-Shabaab belong to Somalis, Al-Shabaab to belong to... Al-Shabaab is no longer the business of Somalia anymore.
But you have to commend Kenya. Christians, Muslims, Sikhism, and all these religions, we have quite stayed united despite what we've been facing since 2011.
That's right. May I appreciate for that. Kenya now, the Kenyan society they understand the intention of Al-Shabaab.
Because we've seen what it has done in other countries like Egypt, trying to divide Christians and Muslims.
And Muslims, that's the same thing. Again, Kenya is rising. No question about that. But we don't want to leave anyone behind. Let us unite against the common enemy. Let us unite our society. Let us have a common agenda so that together we can succeed. But if they succeeded to divide us along what they call the religious lines, along what they call the ethnicity lines, we will never ever defeat these people. We'll never ever defeat. That's what they want. In fact, when they just attack the Lucette Hotel, they were expecting Kenyan security force as usual to crack down the Somali communities, put what they call a Kasarani, so that they can easily get what they call the recruit.
Right.
Yeah, that's what they want. That's exactly what they're looking for. But now, thanks to God.
What does Trump administration and Israel's relation have to do with us?
Not with us, with them.
With them.
Yes.
And them showing their military power, but on Kenyan soil.
You know what I'm saying, basically, is they believe the Palestinian cause, the Palestinian issue, is an Islamic issue. They believe the Israelis occupied the Palestine, so that at least, which is true by the way, it's under occupation, no question about that. But the question is, they are saying those Muslims has no ethnicity, has no tribe, has no nationality. Muslims are Muslim. Whether you are living in Palestine, or whether you are living in Nigeria, as long as you are Muslim, you share the same values, the same norms, and same common agenda.
What is the way forward? I thought perhaps other things like strengthening our borders would have been the first thing the Kenyan government would have thought of before even going into Somalia. Number 2, they're building about a 700-kilometer border wall between Mandera and Somalia, which as of now, as of March 2018, has been suspended. Will that border wall work? And what are the other alternatives?
You cannot defeat what they call the concrete wall with ideology. That's wrong. It's a wrong notion. Building a wall is a waste of time and resource. So the people who under this border, the same people who reside at the border. So what I'm saying is, basically, it's not, building a wall can resolve our problems. What is resolving our problems is, let's face the reality. What's the reality?
The ideology.
Ideology. It's a reality and ideology. So why can't we train? Why can't we, what would you call, empower our youth? Why can't we, empower our Muslim scholars? Why can't we, address the underlying grievances of the society so that you can easily overcome all these problems? Kenya is one. Kenya is one. Building a nation, it will take 100 years. 100 years to accept each other. So the level of integration among the community, we have to increase them. Let the people understand we are one. Right. Let the people understand we have one nation. Let the people understand we have one Kenya. Let the people understand that enemy is our enemies. Whether you live in Mandera, whether you live in Garissa, whether you live in Kiambu, whether you live what they call in Busia, whether you live in Kisumu, whether you live in Lamu, whether you live what they call in Turkana, we have one common enemy.
Wow, and that is a perfect note to leave this conversation on. Unfortunately, our time is up. But thank you so much for helping us understand this past 30 minutes, where we are as a nation, where we're going to, and the fact that the issue is not even military, but ideologies. You have really echoed that a lot. So thank you so much for your time. That was Abdi Wahab Sheikh Abdi Samad. He is the director and senior consultant with Southlink Consultant, just helping us understand our relationship with Somalia and the way forward with Al-Shabaab. Let's take a commercial break. When we come back, Grace and I will update you on stories making headlines on the international front.